They came for healing, but none of them ever made it out. Behind white walls and smiling nurses, something ancient was feeding. This is the story of the hospital where no one came out alive. Lagos was already awake. The streets roared with the groan of impatient drivers, market women cursing under their breath, and downfall conductors shouting destinations like chants. Yet, in the middle of that familiar chaos stood a different kind of silence. A silence wrapped in glass and gold. Sanctus Care Hospital. Ngozi Obasi stood in front of the hospital gates, watching the high-rise building like someone staring at the mouth of a lion. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder, her ID badge hanging proudly on her chest. Newly employed, fresh out of nursing school, ambitious, determined and deeply haunted. Her younger brother had died in this hospital 2 years ago. The doctors had said it was an undiagnosed viral complication. She hadn't believed them. No autopsy, no answers, no apology, just a closed file and sealed caskets. Now she was back, not as a grieving sister, but as one of them. The security man at the gates didn't smile. He looked at her like she didn't belong there.
Name?
He asked flatly.
Ngozi Obasi. I am the new nurse.
He stared at his tablet for a moment, then stepped aside. No welcome, no good luck, just the cold clang of the gates closing behind her. Inside, the air was too clean, too cold, not from air conditioning, but something deeper. The kind of chill that doesn't touch your skin, only your bones. At the reception, a woman with red braids barely looked up.
Ward 5, matrons waiting, third hallway to the right.
Ngozi's heels echoed on the marble floors as she walked. The silence swallowed her steps. She passed a wheelchair being pushed by a nurse. The boy slumped in it, had glassy eyes and skin the color of ash. He wasn't blinking, he wasn't breathing. Ngozi turned around to stare, but the nurse was already gone, disappearing into a hallway labeled Ward 9. Something about that door, it felt wrong. She shook it off and kept walking. When she reached Ward 5, the matron was already waiting. Tall, sharp-faced, not a single strand of hair out of place. She moved with a stiffness that wasn't just discipline, it was control, complete and absolute control.
You are late,
she said without looking up. Ngozi glanced at the clock.
But ma, you are late if I said you are.
Metro Modupe cut in, finally raising her eyes. Cold eyes, lifeless eyes.
This is Sanctus Care. We do not tolerate weakness here. We do not make mistakes. We serve, we sacrifice, we care.
The pause before the last word wasn't normal.
Yes, ma,
Ngozi whispered.
You'll be assigned to Nurse Stella. She will show you how things are done here. Do your job, keep quiet, and if you see anything strange...
She leaned in slightly, her breath cold against Ngozi's cheek.
You didn't see anything.
Ngozi swallowed hard.
Yes, ma.
By mid-morning, Ngozi was on her first round with Stella, a soft-spoken nurse who had tired eyes and an uneasy smile. They entered room 507, where a young woman who just gave birth lay on the bed, sweating, whispering to herself.
She came in last night,
Stella whispered.
But something feels off. Is there a complication? They didn't say.
The woman's eyes flickered open, bloodshot and wide. Ngozi stepped closer.
You'll be fine. You are in the right hands. No!
The woman snapped, grabbing her wrist, her nails dug in.
They took my baby. They said he was dead. But I heard him cry. I heard it.
The monitor beside the bed flatlined.
Cold blue!
Stella screamed. Doctors rushed in. One injected something into the woman's arm. Another held her down. She convulsed once, twice, then went still. Her eyes still open, staring at nothing.
Time of death, 10:03 a.m.
One doctor announced coldly. They wheeled her out swiftly, but there was no baby. Ngozi looked around the room. There was no blood, no sign of delivery, no newborn cries, only silence. Back in the staff room, Ngozi sat with a cold cup of tea in her hands, staring at the floor.
You saw it, didn't you?
Stella asked softly beside her.
Saw what?
Stella hesitated, then leaned in.
The truth. What happened to the baby?
Another long pause. Then Stella said, almost in a whisper,
"You ask too many questions. I am not blind. Then learn to close your eyes."
Her voice trembled.
"If you want to survive here, keep your head down and never ever walk near Ward 9 at night."
That night, Ngozi couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong in the hospital walls. The humming of machines wasn't comforting, it was mournful. The lights in the hallway flickered, even though the generator hadn't gone off. She stepped out of the lounge and walked toward the maternity wing, her shoes silent on the tile floor. At the end of the hallway, she saw them, 2 nurses dressed in full black robes, walking side by side, their faces hidden behind surgical masks. They carried something wrapped in white clothes. Blood seeped through the fabric. Ngozi's breath caught in her throat. She took a step back, only to bump into someone standing directly behind her. She turned and froze. It was Matron Modupe. The woman's face was calm, almost amused.
"Curiosity,"
she said with a slow smile,
"is a disease too."
And then she walked away into the dark. Night fell heavily over Lagos, draping the city in a cloak of restless energy. But inside Sanctus Care Hospital, it wasn't just night. It was something deeper, something darker, the kind of stillness that felt like a warning. Ngozi barely slept. Every time she shut her eyes, she saw the bundle wrapped in bloodied clothes. She saw the nurses in black robes, and most of all, she saw the matron's smile.
"Curiosity is a disease too."
The words echoed in her head like a curse. By morning, the hospital had returned to its routine perfection. Fresh linings, polished floors, clipped voices. The screams and flat lines of the night were erased with the efficiency of professionals who had learned how to clean more than just stain. Ngozi reported for duty with a quiet dread pressing on her heart. Nurse Stella was already at the desk in Ward 5, scribbling something in a chart. Her eyes met Ngozi's for a second, then quickly looked away.
"You're on vitals today?"
she muttered. Ngozi nodded, took her clipboard and started her rounds. But every room she entered, every patient she touched, her hands trembled slightly. Something inside her had shifted. Room 503 held a boy of about 10, admitted for what the child claimed was mild anemia. His mother sat by the bed, gently stroking his forehead.
"Good morning,"
Ngozi greeted with a small smile.
"I am Nurse Ngozi, just taking vitals."
The woman nodded, her eyes were red from crying.
"He's been so weak,"
she said,
"but they said he's improving."
Ngozi checked the boy's pulse. It was faint, far too faint for someone improving. She gently rolled back his sleeve and froze. The inside of his elbow was riddled with needle marks, too many, more than any child should have. She leaned in. His skin felt unusually cold. His lips had turned pale.
"Ma,"
she asked softly,
"have they given him a transfusion?"
The mother shook her head.
"They said he didn't need one, just routine blood checks."
Ngozi nodded slowly, forcing a smile, but her blood was already boiling. She left the room and walked straight to the records room. Inside, Nurse Stella was filling discharge papers. Ngozi pulled her aside.
"That boy in 503,
she whispered.
"He's not been treated, he's been drained."
Stella's hand froze mid-page.
"You are going to get yourself killed,"
she said without turning.
"You don't know how deep these things goes. I saw the marks on his arm. They take blood at night, small pains from the ones who won't be missed. Why?"
Stella looked up at her finally.
"Because blood is their currency."
Before Ngozi could reply, the intercom above their heads buzzed. "All medical staffs to the theater, emergency delivery." They both rushed out. The delivery room was tense. The pregnant woman on the table was unconscious. A doctor stood over her, performing a C-section. Ngozi noticed something immediately. The woman's vitals were too low for surgery.
She's crashing,
Someone said.
No response to oxygen.
The baby was pulled out seconds later, crying and alive. But instead of handing it over to a pediatric nurse, the doctor wrapped it in a black cloth and handed it to Matron Modupe, who had appeared quietly at the edge of the room.
"I'll handle this one,"
she said coldly and walked out. Ngozi stood frozen. No one questioned it. No one followed. The other nurses resumed their tasks like this was normal. The mother was pronounced dead 5 minutes later. Back in the staff lounge, Ngozi sat on the bench, gripping the edge with white knuckles. Her mind was screaming. Stella entered a moment later, handed her a cold bottle of water and sat beside her.
You want to help?
She asked. Ngozi looked at her.
Yes. Then you will need to see everything. All of it.
That night, long after the hospital had gone quiet, Stella led her through the emergency stairwell and into the old west wing, an area supposedly under renovation. But the locks worked, the lights were still functional, and down the end of the narrow hallway, behind a metal door with no nameplate, was a room that smelled of rust, chemicals and something else, blood. They stepped in, Ngozi gasped. Beds lined the walls, 6 of them. Each one held a sedated patient, unmoving, hooked to silent machines that drained blood into dark glass jars stacked in rows. There was no beeping, no alarms, no nurses watching the vitals, just the quiet hum of blood being taken in the dark.
These are the ones who were chosen,
Stella whispered.
The ones who won't wake up. Some of them are already dead.
Ngozi took a step closer to one of the jars. A tag hung from the lid. B+/4.7 liters/ approved. MW.
MW?
She asked.
Metro Modupe,
Stella replied. Ngozi turned to her, horror rising in her throat.
I need to expose this.
Stella shook her head.
Not yet. You don't have enough. One false move and you will disappear like the others.
Ngozi clenched her fist.
What do they do with the blood?
She asked. Stella's answer was cold and immediate.
They drink it. They bet in it. They sell it, and sometimes they summon things with it.
Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed from behind the door. Someone was in the hallway. Stella grabbed Ngozi's wrist and yanked her into the shadows. 2 doctors in black coats entered the room, wheeling in another patient on a gurney. The man was unconscious, his eyes rolled back. One of the doctors turned, revealing Dr. Femi, Ngozi's supervisor, the one who had smiled at her on her first day. His eyes were cold now and empty.
Get this one processed, he
said.
They need it fresh for the next gathering.
And with that, he began humming softly, a tune that sounded ancient and inhuman. Ngozi's world began to spin. The man she thought might help her was one of them. The room reeked of blood, ammonia and silence. Ngozi crouched in the shadows, her heart beat louder than the machines draining the conscious patients beside her. Stella's hand clutched her wrist so tightly it hurt, but neither of them dared to breathe. Dr. Femi stood only a few feet away, the same Dr. Femi who had smiled at her in the cafeteria, the one who did once ask if she was settling in well, the one who had offered to walk her to her first shifts. Now here he was, humming as if casting a spell, giving orders to prepare a sedated man for blood extraction.
I want this batch labeled and delivered before midnight,
Femi said, his voice low and calm.
The meeting starts at 1. Which location this time?
The younger doctor beside him asked, adjusting his gloves.
Underground chapel. They need 2 liters of AB negative for the elevation rites.
The younger man nodded. Ngozi's eyes widened.
Elevation rites? What exactly were these people doing?
One of the blood jars slipped from the tray, crashing to the floor. Red liquid splashed across the tiles. Femi turned sharply, eyes scanning the room. Ngozi didn't move, neither did Stella. Silence returned. Femi gave a slow, unsettling smile.
Someone clean that up and lock the hallway when you are done. No mistakes tonight. The veil must remain intact.
He walked out, his black coat sweeping behind him. The other doctor followed, and the room fell still again. Only then did Stella exhale. We need to go, she whispered. They slipped out back into the dark stairway, sealing the door behind them. Ngozi couldn't sleep. She sat on her bunk that night in the nurses' quarters, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. Her heart was still in that blood room, her thoughts still replaying Femi's voice.
Elevation rites, midnight meeting, underground chapel.
She looked at the wall clock, 11:19 p.m. Her hands shook as she opened the drawer beside her bed. Hidden inside was her brother's photo, taken 2 weeks before his mysterious death. His smile looked innocent, too innocent for the truth she was now facing. She did buried him without a question, but now, Ngozi rose slowly, tying her scarf. If there was a meeting tonight, she had to see it. She had to know what really happened inside this hospital, when the rest of the world was sleeping. The basement was colder than the rest of the building, colder than a hospital should ever be. Ngozi moved carefully, sticking to the walls, her footsteps silent. Stella had told her about the passage behind the records room, the one staff used to bypass the public floors. She found it, a rusted door marked "Archived Equipment, Do Not Enter." She entered. The hallway was dim, the walls were damp, mold crept around old posters, peeling off with age. Then she heard its voices, low, chanting in writing. She followed the sound. At the end of the hallway was a massive steel door. It had no handle but a keypad built into the wall. Someone had just gone in. The door was slowly closing. She slid in just before it shut. What she saw stopped her breath. It wasn't a chapel, it was a catacomb. Rows of white chairs formed a circle around a stone altar. Tall black candles flickered with unnatural flames, green and blue. Symbols were carved into the walls, ancient and unfamiliar, and in the center stood Matron Modupe, robed in black, a silver bowl in her hands. Beside her stood Dr. Dency, the hospital's owner and chief medical director, the man whose smiling face appeared on every health magazine in the country. He was naked to the waist. His chest bore tattoos of strange emblems. Blood dripped slowly from a fresh wound near his ribs, flowing into the bowl. Ngozi ducked behind a pillar, her eyes wide. They began to chant, words she couldn't understand, words that didn't belong to this world. The other staff, doctors, nurses, admin officers, even security guards, stood in a perfect ring, all in black, all bowing their heads. Modupe raised the bowl. "Blood of the healer," she said, "sanctify our hands." The crowd replied in unison, "Sanctify our hands." "Blood of the sacrifice, awaken the gates." Ngozi's stomach turned. Then Femi stepped forward from the crowd. Holding a small crate, he opened it slowly. Inside was a newborn, alive and crying. Ngozi's knees buckled. She had to stop this. She had to. But then someone grabbed her from behind, a hand over her mouth, strong arms pulling her into the shadows. She tried to scream. She kicked, but it was no use. The last thing she saw was Modupe turning sharply. "Who is there?" Darkness. Then a cold, sharp voice whispered into her ear,
You shouldn't have come here, Nurse Ngozi.
As the hand clamped harder across her mouth, muffling every breath. She struggled, her limbs thrashing in panic, but the grip was unrelenting, like iron wrapped in flesh. Her back hit the cold wall behind the altar room, and she was dragged through a hidden side passage she hadn't seen before. Darkness swallowed her whole. The corridor smelled like earth and old blood.
You don't get to walk in here and leave.
The voice behind her whispered, low and menacing. They stopped. A door creaked open. Ngozi was shoved into a room that felt no bigger than a closet. It was dim, damp and freezing. The door slammed shut behind her. Then, silence. Complete unnatural silence. Her breathing came in sharp bursts as she pressed herself against the wall. Heart pounding, no windows, no sound. Only the echo of what she did 10 minutes earlier. The chanting, the baby. Dr. Benson bleeding into a silver bowl like some ancient priests. And that voice, sanctify our hands, awaken the gates. She was in too deep now. Whatever this hospital was, whatever they were doing, she was no longer just a witness. She was a threat. Ngozi sank to her knees, her hand trembling as it touched her pocket. Her phone was still there. Somehow, during the struggle, they hadn't taken it. But there was no signal down here. She opened the voice recorder anyway and hit record. If she didn't make it out, someone had to know. Hours passed, or maybe just minutes. Time didn't move in this place. Eventually, she heard keys jingle outside the door. Heavy boots, then a click. The door creaked open. Ngozi squinted into the dim light as a figure stepped in. It was Dr. Femi. But something about him was different now. His coat was off. His sleeves were rolled up. His expression cold, detached, held no hint of the man she did first met. He stood there staring at her in silence.
You shouldn't have seen that,
he said finally. Ngozi didn't speak.
I told them to let me handle you.
He continued.
Because I actually liked you. You were smart, brave.
Still, she said nothing. He crouched beside her.
You don't understand what you walked into, Ngozi. Sanctus isn't just a hospital, it's a gate. We are not just doctors, we are vessels, chosen. And the blood we take, it's not just blood, it's life, power, legacy.
Ngozi finally found her voice.
You kill babies.
His face didn't change.
We save more than you will ever know. The ones we lose are offerings.
Ngozi spat on the floor beside him.
You are monsters!
He chuckled.
And yet you are still breathing. For now.
He stood.
But you have two choices. Join us or be consumed.
Before she could respond, the door shut again and she was alone. Meanwhile, in the upper wing of the hospital, Nurse Stella stood in the staff lounge, staring at the clock. It was almost 4 a.m. Ngozi hadn't returned. She paced. Her hands trembled as she reached into her locker and pulled out a worn piece of paper. On it was a number, scribbled messily, faded with time. She picked up a hospital landline, one of the few not monitored. She died. A man answered on the second ring. Inspector Chuka. Stella's voice was barely above a whisper.
I need you to listen carefully. Something terrible is happening at Sanctus Care. And if you don't act fast, another nurse will die before sunrise.
Back on the ground, the door to Ngozi's cell opened again. This time it wasn't Femi, it was Matron Modupe. Her eyes glowed strangely in the dim lights, not from reflection, but something unnatural beneath her skin. She didn't speak at first, she only stared. Then she extended her hand. In it, a ring, silver, with a black stone.
Wear this,
she said,
and you become one of us. Your eyes will be opened. You will live.
Ngozi stared at the ring, and for a brief second she considered it. She thought of the patients upstairs, the boy in room 503, the mother who died after birth, her brother, herself. If she joined them, maybe she could survive. Maybe she could get deeper. Maybe.
I'd rather die,
she said. Metro Modupe smiled faintly.
Then you will.
She turned to leave.
Take her to the preparation room,
she ordered.
She'll be the blood vessel for the next elevation.
Two nurses entered, dressed in ceremonial black scrubs. They grabbed Ngozi by the arms and began to drag her away. Her screams echoed through the stone walls of Sanctus Care. Far above in the lobby of the hospital, Inspector Chuka stepped through the front door. His badge glinted under the harsh hospital lights. He didn't smile.
I am here to speak with a nurse, Ngozi Obasi,
he said coldly.
Immediately.
The receptionist at Sanctus Care blinked twice.
Sorry, sir. What name did you say?
Inspector Chuka Nwobi.
The man replied firmly, flashing his badge. His voice carried no friendliness.
I am here for a nurse, Ngozi Obasi. She was last seen on shift last night.
The receptionist hesitated. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard like she wasn't sure whether to check records or raise an alarm. Chuka leaned in slightly.
Don't stall me. I am not here to play games. I'm here because one of your staff made a report about a potential criminal operation happening right under this roof. And if I don't see her in the next 10 minutes, I am coming back with a warrant and a news crew.
The woman swallowed.
Just a moment, sir.
She disappeared into a hallway, walking faster than she meant to. Chuka stood there, scanning the pristine lobby. Too clean, too quiet, and far too tense for a hospital. He didn't like it. On the ground, in the preparation room, Ngozi was laid on a cold metal table, her wrists strapped. A thin cloth covered her body. Her eyes darted between the two nurses, preparing syringes and setting up dark glass tubes. They walked without speaking. One of them hummed a strange melody, the same chant she had heard in the gathering room. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Then the door opened. Dr. Femi again. He stepped in, gloved hands clasped behind his back.
She declined the ring,
one nurse said. Femi sighed.
She would have been a good vessel.
He walked closer, leaned over her face.
You still have a choice, Ngozi. Join us. Pledge your silence or we drain you dry. And your body is sent home with a fake report. Septicemia due to unknown infection, just like your brother.
Ngozi's face twisted in rage.
You murdered my brother?
We released him,
Femi said,
into something bigger and better.
You are sick.
He smiled faintly.
Sickness is a point of view.
She spat at him. He stepped back, wiped his cheek, then nodded at the nurse.
Start with 2 liters, slowly.
The machine waged to life. Ngozi felt the sharp sting in her arm. Then the lights flickered. Back upstairs, Metro Modupe was waiting for the receptionist in her office.
He's in the lobby?
The matron asked calmly.
Yes, ma. Police badge looking for Ngozi.
Modupe didn't blink.
Tell him she's not on shift today. She left yesterday afternoon.
The receptionist hesitated.
Should I call Dr. Benson? No.
Her tone sharpened.
I will handle this myself.
She stood, smoothed her gown, and walked toward the lift. But just before stepping in, she picked up the internal phone.
Prepare the rear exits. If this inspector becomes a problem, we will send him out unconscious. Same method as the journalist last year.
In the basement, the door burst open. Nurse Stella ran in, panting, her uniform torn at the shoulder.
You have to stop!
She shouted.
Inspector's here. He knows.
Dr. Femi turned sharply.
How did he get in?
I called him,
she said, breathless.
I couldn't sit back anymore.
Femi's face darkened.
I will handle it.
He walked out quickly. Stella rushed to Ngozi's side, fumbled with the straps. Ngozi's lips were pale, her arm already drained halfway.
You are okay. I've got you. I'm here.
She pulled the needle out, grabbed a towel and pressed it to the bleeding sides.
I saw everything,
Stella whispered.
I should have helped sooner.
Ngozi's voice was weak.
Why? Why now? Because they came for my sister last year,
Stella said, her hands shaking.
She came in for malaria. She never left.
Upstairs, Inspector Chuka paced the lobby like a lion. A nurse passed him quickly, avoiding eye contact. A security man positioned himself near the doors. Something was wrong, very wrong. The receptionist returned.
I am sorry, sir. Nurse Ngozi is not on shift. We don't know her current location.
Chuka stepped forward.
Then, tell Metro Modupe I am not leaving until I see the staff log and surveillance footage of the last 12 hours.
She's unavailable right now.
He narrowed his eyes.
Alright,
he said, pulling out his phone.
I am calling DCP Adekoya. Let's see if she's unavailable when the anti-ritual unit shows up.
The receptionist's face drained of color. Before she could respond, Metro Modupe appeared at the hallway. Her steps were slow and deliberate.
Inspector,
she said with a tight smile.
There's no need for aggression. Let's discuss this in my office.
Chuka didn't move.
Not unless I say Ngozi now.
Modupe's smile faded.
You are making a mistake,
she said.
No,
he replied.
You already made yours.
He pulled out a tiny voice recorder, clicked play. Ngozi's voice echoed from it.
They are draining my blood from sedated patients. They chant during night rituals. I saw a newborn being used as a sacrifice. Please help me.
The entire lobby went silent. Modupe's eyes sharpened. She stepped back and then alarms blared. A nurse shouted from the hallway. Code red! Code red! External breach detected. Security men reached for their radios. Chuka moved instantly, drawing his sidearms.
Where is she?
Modupe turned without answering and bolted. On the ground, Stella had unstrapped Ngozi and slung her over her shoulder. But just as she reached the basement stairs, a voice echoed behind her.
Going somewhere?
She turned. Mr. Benson Okonkwo stood there, smiling, holding a silver scalpel. Stella's grip tightened around Ngozi's weak frame as she took another step backward. The fluorescent light above flickered once, then steadied, casting a pale glow over the darkened basement hallway. Dr. Benson stood at the foot of the stairs like a vulture in human skin. Bare-chested, beneath his lab coat, a silver scalpel glittering in his right hand. His belly bore the strange black tattoos Ngozi had glimpsed during the gathering. His eyes weren't just angry, they were hungry.
I remember you,
he said softly to Stella, his voice disturbingly calm.
You cried when we took your sister, and yet here you are again, still crying, still soft.
Stella shifted her weight and gently lowered Ngozi behind the steel trolleys stacked in the corner. Ngozi's skin was pale, her pulse faint, her lips moved, but her words were too soft to hear.
You are finished,
Stella said, her voice low and trembling with fury.
The police are here. Inspector Chuka has the recording. You won't walk out of this.
Dr. Benson chuckled, not like a man caught, like a man entertained.
Dear girl,
he whispered.
Do you really think the police are not part of us?
He stepped forward.
Do you really think I built this hospital with just syringes and bandages? We have people in every ward, every ministry, every agency. You are standing inside a fortress made of secrets and blood.
Stella's jaw clenched.
Then I will bring it crashing down.
In one fluid motion, she grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall and hurled it straight at him. Benson dodged, but just barely. She grabbed Ngozi and bolted up the stairs. Behind her, his roar echoed like a beast unchained. Upstairs, chaos erupted. Inspector Chuka charged down a hallway with 2 security guards on his heels. They tried to block him, but he was faster, meaner. He kicked the first in the knee and elbowed the second in the jaw. Both went down. He reached the surgical ward, but found it empty.
Ngozi,
He shouted.
where are you?
No answer. Suddenly, a nurse grabbed his arm. It was the same girl who had buzzed him in at the reception. They took her underground, she whispered. Basement, preparation room, go now before they move her again. He didn't ask questions. In the back stairwell, Stella stumbled, nearly dropping Ngozi as she reached the staff kitchen, one of the few places with a side exit. She slammed the door behind her and locked it. Ngozi stared faintly, her eyes fluttered open.
Stella,
She whispered. Shh, Stella replied.
save your strength. You are going to make it.
Ngozi swallowed hard.
He's one of them. The head. I know.
Stella stood and searched the drawers, knives, a first aid box, a bottle of methylated spirits. Then footsteps from the hallway outside, slow, heavy, coming closer. Stella grabbed a carving knife and crouched. The door handle twisted. She raised the blade, but before the door could open, boom! The wood splintered inward as Inspector Chuka kicked it down. His gun swept the room. He saw Stella. He saw Ngozi on the floor, and he saw blood.
Jesus Christ.
He muttered. He rushed in.
She needs help now.
She's stable,
Stella said quickly.
but if we don't move now, they will take us all.
Chuka nodded.
I called back up. They are 30 minutes out.
Can you move her? Just help me carry her. There's a back gate behind the water tank.
Chuka lifted Ngozi as Stella guided them out through the side corridor. Alarms were still ringing. Chaos was spreading, but not fast enough. Back in the underground gathering room, Metro Modupe stood in front of a half-burned altar, her eyes closed, chanting. Dr. Benson burst in behind her, breathing hard.
They've taken her.
Modupe opened her eyes slowly.
Then it begins.
What?
The prophecy. The unraveling.
You still believe in that ancient might?
Benson spat.
We are science, power, blood and bone.
We were chosen.
Modupe said, her voice firm.
But the chosen always face the challenger. And now she's here.
Benson looked at her. For the first time, his confidence cracked.
We need to relocate tonight.
No,
Modupe said.
we are not running. We finish the elevation, then we fight.
Outside the back gate, as dawn crept across the Lagos skyline, Stella and Inspector Chuka loaded Ngozi into the backseat of a rusted Corolla. Ngozi opened her eyes weakly and whispered one thing.
They have the government.
Chuka looked at her, then at Stella.
Then we bring in something bigger than government.
What's that?
Stella asked. He turned the ignition.
The people.